for high energy, stay tuned, because the United States Hot Rod Association has gone down to Houston, Texas. The site, the Houston Astrodome, and they have assembled the biggest, baddest, and meanest monster trucks in the world. And we're bringing you all the action on Monster Truck Challenge here on ESPN, the Total Sports Network.
It's wall-to-wall monster truck racing here on Monster Truck Challenge as one of the biggest fields of trucks ever assembled under one roof. The biggest roof in the world here at the Houston Astrodome in Houston, Texas. Hello again, race fans. I'm Ken Broo, and I mean to tell you, my pal Joe Lowe is going to have his hands full today. It is wall-to-wall monster truck racing action. Now, it's so special tonight that we've got to throw out the normal way that these trucks qualify. As a matter of fact, it can best be described as luck of the draw. Now, here's what you'll see in round one. Bigfoot faces the Hawk. First Blood and Tuff-E-Nuff do battle. King Crunch and the Clydesdale are next up. Then it's Outlaw and Warrior. Tropical Thunder and the Valvoline Eagle. No Problem and Wild Hair. The Auto Value Special and Wild Thing. Buffalo Tremor and Dirty Dancing round out the action. Now, while Blue Max gets a first round bye, you gotta love it. Faced with a massive list of monster trucks, the USHRA officials in Houston said, let's just pair them up, let them have some fun. Here to welcome back some of our old friends to Monster Truck Challenge is Joe Lowe.
Thank you, Ken. And look who's here. Andy Brass and Bigfoot going against Mark Pristash and the Hawk. Look for the green light, guys. Showtime in Houston. Over the first hill, Andy Brass clears the entire set of cars, and the win for Bigfoot and Andy Brass in our first round competition here in the Houston Astrodome. Here's Bigfoot on the ISO cam over that first hill. Turn on the gas. Come on home, Andy. Boom. Airborne. Bigfoot doesn't even touch the cars. And the win, of course, goes to Andy Brass and Bob Chandler's Bigfoot. Here's a matchup for you. Rob Fuchs in the red Ford called First Blood going against Joey Pittman and Pablo Cruz's Tuff-E-Nuff. So it's a Ford-Chevy matchup. Both are big red trucks. Both love the long run, and they're going to get one right now. Over the first hill for First Blood, Pittman running behind. Whoa! Pittman having a lot of bounce to the ounce, and the win goes to First Blood and Rob Fuchs. So Rob Fuchs and Andy Brass, two Fords, proceed to the next round of competition. Very, very easy on that first hill. Rob gives it the gas as he comes off, up the ramp, over the cars. Meanwhile, over in the other lane, Tuff-E-Nuff and Joey Pittman just can't do it. First Blood and Bigfoot both proceed to the next round. So Ford and Ford. The next matchup, I know we're going to have a Chevy in our next round competition because we have the Auto Value King Crunch going against the Clydesdale. Bennett Clark, the former rodeo rider out of Georgia, going against Rob Grossman, driving Scott Stevens King Crunch. Grossman having some trouble. And the bright pink Clydesdale picks up the win in Houston. Rob Grossman and the King Crunch having some trouble there, and the Spring Texas boy just can't bring it home for the crowd. Meanwhile, Bennett Clark in that bright pink Clydesdale comes up over the cars. He's having a bouncy ride, but he's got a win, and he advances to our quarterfinals here in Houston. The win goes to the Clydesdale. Next up, Nick Rossi out of Pennsauken, New Jersey, in the Outlaw, going against Lupe Sosa and the Warrior. There's the Outlaw, the Warrior, both staged. We're set. Outlaw pulling out. and comes up with a full truck length victory over the Warrior. But what is this? Some smoke coming out from under the Outlaw. Could Nick Rossi have some problems here? I hope not. He has worked hard to get to the quarterfinals, a big win over the Warrior. And Nick Rossi wants to look down and see for himself. On the ISO cam, let's see if we can pick up where that happened. Nice ride over that first hill. He turns it on, hits the row of cars, makes it over about 3/4 of the way, and there's the smoke. There's the problem. Definitely something coming out from the Outlaw. Nick Rossi may have some problems. Meanwhile, the Warrior, he just didn't have it today. He just didn't have it, was slow off the line, and could not come up with a win. I don't know whether I'd want to load the Warrior up yet, Lupe. We're not too sure what's going on with the Outlaw. We'll have to find out on that later on. Meanwhile, at the line, Tropical Thunder, Wayne Smolzanek going against Gary Schott and the Valvoline Eagle. They're lined up, staged, and set to go in the Astrodome. Off the line, the Valvoline Eagle has it. But look at this. Tropical Thunder comes from behind as he picks up a win in the GMC. Wayne Smolzanek out of Florida, and Tropical Thunder defeats the Valvoline Eagle and Gary Schott. He was slow off the line. Maybe just a little bit apprehensive about that first hill, but not at all apprehensive about sailing over those cars as Tropical Thunder does it in the Astrodome. Our next lineup, John Moore out of Lafayette, Tennessee in the HPX No Problem against Marvin Smith and Wildhair. Marvin out of Missouri, John out of Tennessee. Side by side, they go off the line in the Chevy Ford confrontation. John Moore has to play catch-up, and the Ford Bronco does. John Moore in the HPX No Problem, a win over Marvin Smith Wildhair. On the ISO cam now, we see John Moore. He realizes he's falling behind the Wildhair. He's got to turn it on. He hits the ramp up over the cars, and the Bronco makes it over the finish line first. John Moore advances with no problem. Next up, one of the newest trucks on the circuit, Scott Stevens and the brand new Auto Value Racer against Don Frankish and Wild Thing. Don, one of the favorites of the crowd in the big Ford. Scott Stevens in the Chevy Auto Value out of Spring, Texas. This crowd in Houston loves him. And look what happens. Wild Thing stuck on the line. Scott Stevens doesn't have a problem at all. Matter of fact, he doesn't have any competition. What happened to Wild Thing? Even Scott Stevens is looking for the competitor. He goes, where is he? He has Auto Value on one side of the truck. The truck is still brand new. Matter of fact, when they pulled it in here into the Astrodome, you could still smell the paint job. A brand new truck, and he picks up a win. We're still waiting to see what happened to the Wild Thing and Don Frankish. Both on the line. That's a tough break before a great crowd here in Houston. The brand new truck of Scott Stevens advances. Here comes John Kwasniewski from way up north in Lackawanna, New York, just to the right of Buffalo, going up against Chuck Jordan and Dirty Dancing, a Dodge Chevy matchup. John Kwasniewski bouncing his way over the cars, and the victory, Chuck Jordan with the old spring-style truck having a lot of trouble maneuvering here in Houston, and Johnny K shaking his head saying he doesn't like the way his truck handles. He's going to have some time before the next round to make some adjustments to the shocks. Let's see if we can pick up what John was shaking his head about. Well, there's the problem. The suspension's too stiff. There's no give to it. He's going to have to loosen things up. Hey, Ken, that's our first round action. The win for Tremor.
Hey, man, when we say wall-to-wall monster truck racing, we mean it. Was that wild or what? Let's catch our breath just for a second. When we come back, round 2 action from Houston, Texas, when the Monster Truck Challenge Series continues in just a moment. Welcome back, everybody. I tell you what, it's right. You don't have a scorecard. You can't keep track of all this stuff. What do we have? 1 round complete, and we're down to only 14 trucks? Here's what we have next in round 2. Bigfoot will take on Tuff-E-Nuff this time out. Clydesdale and Wild Hare will do battle, as will Wild Thing and the Warrior. Tropical Thunder will square off against No Problem, and the Auto Value Special will see the Hawk in the other lane. Blue Max comes off a first-round bye. He'll see his first action against Dirty Dancing. And Buffalo Tremor and King Crunch round out the field. First Blood is unable to answer the bell for round 2. Hey, is keeping track of all this fun or what, Joe Lowe?
Hey, not only watching them fun, keeping track of them fun, but eating this Texas chili is fun, Ken. Let's go. Bigfoot, Tuff-E-Nuff, Chevy and Ford confrontation side by side in the Houston Astrodome. They're staged, they're set, here we go. And look at this, Tuff-E-Nuff. No, Tuff-E-Nuff had Andy Brass off the line, but Bigfoot comes from behind, turns it on, and beats Tuff-E-Nuff. The win goes to Bigfoot. Look at this. 2 old competitors going against one another. Clydesdale and Wild Hare. Marvin Smith and Wild Hare, and Bennett Clark and Clydesdale. And Bennett Clark comes from behind for a win. Clydesdale sponsored by Hardy Chevrolet in Georgia. Here comes John Moore and No Problem. The HPX No Problem, brand new sponsor for him, up against Wayne Smozanic and Tropical Thunder. Ford GMC matchup, both taking it easy and turning it on after the initial hill. Tropical Thunder tries to come from behind, but John Moore and the HPX No Problem holds on for the win at the line. You can see it here. John Moore first over the cars and with a win. Oh boy, here comes the Auto Value Racer and Scott Stevens going up against the Hawk. 2 Chevys on the line. Mark Pristash in the Hawk. Scott Stevens in the brand new Auto Value Racer, and the Racer races to victory. The Hawk is left, still running the race. So Scott Stevens advances. Here comes Blue Max and Dirty Dancing. Our first look at Larry Nukiah and Blue Max tonight up against Chuck Jordan and Dirty Dancing. Again, taking it easy, turning it on, and Blue Max over the finish line. Whoa, the entire rear end comes out from under Blue Max. Larry Nukiah, you got some problems, buddy. He gets out of the truck and wants to look at that. The entire rear end just came out from under the truck and the frame separated. Here comes Buffalo Tremor and King Crunch. Rob Grossman out of Spring, Texas in King Crunch. John Kwasniewski from Lackawanna, New York in the Tremor. Turning on the power. Johnny K gets the win. The Buffalo Tremor advances to our next round. Here comes Wild Thing and the Warrior. The Warrior back because the Outlaw broke. Nick Rossi had some problems. We showed you that earlier. And by virtue of that, the Warrior is back against Wild Thing. Here we go. Wild Thing has a lead. What's this? Some smoke coming out of Wild Thing. Warrior almost catches him, but Wild Thing holds on. You can see the smoke right there. Wild Thing injured. Warrior tries, cannot catch him. Ken?
And then there were 7. The magnificent 7. Shoot it out. When Monster Truck Challenge continues from the Astrodome in Houston in just a moment. You're looking at the Astrodome in Houston, where the dust has settled after 2 of the wildest rounds of racing we've ever had here on Monster Truck Challenge. Now, because of breakdowns, Bigfoot has guaranteed himself a spot in the round of 4. Other trucks weren't so lucky. They'll have to work their way to the semis. Those trucks are Clydesdale and Warrior, No Problem, and the Auto Value Special, and Dirty Dancing and Buffalo Tremor. Joe Lowe can probably feel the tremors down on the Astrodome floor. Joe?
Ken, being down on this floor with just a microphone for protection is a wild feeling, and we have some wild trucks loose on the track. The Clydesdale and the Warrior ready to go. The Warrior coming back I told you there were some problems with Wild Thing. Warrior and Clydesdale side by side. Clydesdale pulls out ahead. Now watch what's going to happen. They're going to go up and turn around. We're changing the track to horseshoe style. We're in Texas, boy. And the Warrior just can't manipulate the turn. Clydesdale sails on to victory. Here comes John Moore, the HPX No Problem against the Auto Value Racer. Scott Stevens and John Moore have been here before. Ford and Chevy, Chevy and Ford side by side. Remember, we've added the horseshoe, we've added that turn here in the Astrodome. They're set to go. Scott Stevens out in front, John Moore catching up. Now John Moore has them. They have to go over that hill, make this turn, and Scott Stevens is first around. He outmaneuvers John Moore. Scott is an expert at using the rear steer, and the Auto Value Racer makes it 3 in a row. Here comes Dirty Dancing and Buffalo Tremor. Chuck Jordan in the Dodge Dirty Dancing against John Kwasniewski's Buffalo Tremor. A puff of smoke and a hearty here we go. Kwasniewski temporarily losing some power. Apparently he gets it back. Chuck Jordan struggling. Around the turn, Kwasniewski with the new design truck outmaneuvers the old leaf spring truck, and the Buffalo Tremor has to hobble, but he makes it across the finish line. Dirty Dancing's nowhere in sight. Here comes Chuck. Boy, you talk about having problems, Ken.
You know, the last time we were in Houston, I picked the truck Hawk because I like the name. I think this time I may go with Clydesdale because that was my sister's name. No, because I like the paint job. I'm a sucker for acrylic. We'll see how it all shakes down when Monster Truck Challenge continues in just a moment. We're into the semifinal round at Houston in the Astrodome. We've already seen a lifetime of racing, but we're not done yet. We get to watch a well-rested Bigfoot go up against my pick of the day, Clydesdale, as the Final Four gets underway. Then the brand-new Auto Value Special takes on our old pal Johnny K in the Buffalo Tremor. Once again, Joe Lowe describes the action.
Andy Brass and Bigfoot out of St. Louis, Missouri. Bennett Clark and Clydesdale out of Powder Springs, Georgia, to the starting line. The Chevy and Ford, remember they have to turn, and Bigfoot, I gotta tell you, has the ability to manipulate all around this track. Bennett Clark has a lot of trouble moving that big truck. Bigfoot's across the finish line. Bennett's still trying to get around the turn. Bigfoot moves to our final. Andy Brass and Bigfoot makes it to the championships here in Houston, and this truck just cannot do anything wrong here in Houston at the Astrodome. Bigfoot with a big win over Clydesdale. Next up, Johnny K and the Buffalo Tremor against Scott Stevens and the brand new Auto Value Racer. Who's it gonna be, crowd? Buffalo Tremor or Auto Value? Auto Value with the lead. Johnny K has to play catch-up. They're going into that turn. Now remember, Scott Stevens is in a brand new truck. Johnny K's been behind the wheel of Tremor for a long time. Makes it through that turn first. Can he hold on? Yes. Yes, the win goes to Johnny K and the Buffalo Tremor. It's going to be a Bigfoot Tremor final at the Astrodome. But Johnny K almost lost it. Scott Stevens, if he had been able to dial in earlier and get more feel behind the wheel of this truck, he could have defeated Buffalo Tremor and gone up against Bigfoot. Another 3 or 4 feet, he would have been there. Ken Broo, we've got a championship coming up in the Astrodome.
The Broo curse, it's still in full bloom. Clydesdale is out. So here's the way the final shakes down. Bigfoot, which whacks my pick, takes on the Buffalo Tremor. It's amazing. After all those trucks, we're down to 2. And we'll be back for that final when Monster Truck Challenge continues in just a moment. Welcome back, everybody, to Houston. I guess it's only appropriate. It all started with Bigfoot so many years ago in St. Louis. Bigfoot deserves to be in the finals. And the rumble you hear belongs to Buffalo Tremor. That's a truck that's had a pretty fair day itself. Now, if he isn't tongue-tied, here's Joe Lowe to call the ultimate final from the ultimate day of racing.
The crowd is on their feet in the Houston Astrodome. Bigfoot and Buffalo Tremor ready to go. Jim Clark caught up with Andy Brass a moment ago.
The truck seems like it's running pretty good. The track's getting a little bit better. The guys are getting used to the track here. We're kind of getting dialed in, getting a few more runs on ourselves here. We're feeling more familiar with the track, so the guys are going to start running a little bit harder. Coming down with Buffalo. Buffalo's been running pretty good today. You know, he's got a good truck. He's one of the new suspension trucks, and he's learning how to drive the truck and been doing a real good job with it. So he's going to be a good run.
That's what's going on in the Bigfoot camp. Let's go over to the Buffalo Tremor camp right now, where Jim Clark talks with John Kwasniewski.
How's it feel going up against Bigfoot? It's always tough to go against him. I mean, he's got the best trucks there is, so we're just going to give it all we got.
Anything special you're going to do to the truck before you get out there, or just you happy with the way it's running?
We're happy with the way it's running, and with what happened with the last couple rounds, we're just going to do what we can do.
John Kwasniewski and Buffalo Tremor, Andy Brass and Bigfoot. We promised you excitement. Here it comes from the Astrodome. Bigfoot takes a big lead, but don't count Buffalo Tremor out just yet. Around the turn they go. Side by side, Buffalo Tremor catches up to Bigfoot. They pour it on, and Bigfoot opens up a lead and picks up the win. In the Houston Astrodome, no doubt about it, it's all Bigfoot and Andy Brass. Andy Brass with the win on our Monster Truck Challenge from the Astrodome. Here's how he did it. Off the line, over the cars. Whoop, watch that little hill. Now make that turn. Andy Brass can do this in his sleep. He is an expert with the rear steer. Bob and Marilyn Chandler's truck gives him the power he needs to pick up the win. And Andy Brass, a great driver, Bigfoot, a great truck, combined for a win here in Houston. As Andy comes down to talk to ESPN's Jim Clark.
All right, Andy Brass, Bigfoot number 10, first time out and a big win here in the Houston Astrodome.
Yeah, it was. You know, I want to thank you. The old Ford was running good for us tonight. You know, thanks to guys like Ford, BDS, GF Axles there. You know, we was able to make the power, put it to the ground here, thanks to the Firestone tires. We did a good job. It was a good run here at the end. You know, we started to get a little bit concerned in the corner, but we just kind of had to keep the cool a little bit, make the corner nice, and just hope we could pick up a little bit of speed in the straightaway.
What's next for Bigfoot 10?
Well, the next trip's be out in Oregon, and that's where we're heading. We're going to just try to do a little bit, go back to the shop now, do a little bit more fine-tuning, watch the tapes here. And like I say, we'll just fine-tune the truck a little bit more. It's just first show really big for the truck. So like I say, right now, it's just we're still in our experimental stage. And the shocks have got a lot more we can do with them. And it's just, like I say, we'll just go back, watch some films, and try to adjust the truck in a little bit more.
All right, well, congratulations. A big win for Bigfoot number 10 here in the Houston Astrodome. And Andy Brass. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
So the truck that started it all ends it all in Houston, and Bigfoot gets to haul that trophy home to St. Louis. We get to haul our cameras up to Massachusetts and the Centrum in Worcester. That's where we'll talk to you next, when the big trucks rumble down the road on Monster Truck Challenge. So long, everybody.